This is reading of poems that I wrote in free verse after my mom passed, after I got news that she passed, and that was November 21st, 2019. She was Suncha Wellens Shepherd. She was South Korean, immigrant to the United States, an American citizen. She had formerly worked as bartending for many years, and the highlight of her career was being a Playboy Club bar manager at Miami Beach Club, and where she got to know people like Tom Jones and Jackie Gleason, etc. Her death hit me really hard, and it's still hitting me today. And this is April 2021, and it's hard to get over it. So I think what I'll do is I'll do a series of videos, maybe post on YouTube, about these, reading these poems, maybe in groups of 10, 15 poems, 150 poems, 150 poems. They're all in free verse, and if I read them in groups of 10, there'll be 15 sessions, and the poems, let me show you. It's the sun and the hereafter. You probably have the reverse on the camera there, but it's David R Wellens, The Sun and the Hereafter, and they're available on Amazon KDP or Amazon Kindle, especially, or also in paperback. So let me get started. Okay, grief. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the first poem, The Sun is Setting. I cried again, and I guess it'll be a regular thing to think of you, departed or not, but just gone. Oh, how sad things were, having grown accustomed to the prosthetic pain and chemical confusions. We both were bobbing in the nearby sea, and the lifeguards were just watching us, or so we thought. Blame no one, I don't. Had that one of countless minutes I watched over you, my one and only flock of one, my one and only departed, my one and only grief, the setting sun, extinguished all too soon, be a flash of green, where the sea meets the horizon, which meets the solar threesome we usually see daily. You know the end. Your end would come. I just tried to banish that thought wherein everything you said to me then makes me cry now. And second poem, The Altar of Sacrifice. It all revolved around you, and harmoniously too. We come to find that our souls are less troubled for expanding into that space, or is it space, that the supposed Big Bang necessitated the center. I think of your resting somehow, but laboring to rest, to get somewhere in your dreams, to that health I promised sleep would lead to. There is a dread to the realization of the loss. I want to tell others of the causes you championed. In the early 70s, there was the computer burgeoning on the cusp of the punch card, and a world where one figuring cares vanished without slaves of labor. There was the melting pot of a democracy, wherein hybrid unions assured a global peace. Children were going to be loved after your patterns, and the needs of the hearth come first. And finally, there was a chemical care and medical mercy shown to all. Be, quote, normal would become a mantra for a uniformity that displaced the altar of sacrificing sacrifice. And the third poem, Chores for This Day. Things aren't falling apart. It is a day for lonely chores and laundry. Vacuuming and the garbage needs to be taken out. You are reminding me from memory, and though things continue, I would stop it all to have you back. Being alone doesn't happen for me now. I've got you in my mind, and you are everything I need to remember. The finality of chores don't exist. Houses are cleaned as a renewal, as a rebirth, as a renaissance. Not to be emptied out, but not to be ever totally the victim of attrition. Domestic bliss will never be the same, and will be. At the start of our day, my day, is a list of chores. You should rest, I would say. Keep your head up, you would say, and you'd laugh in your way. Could it have been any different, any more routine? I'll spend this day in devoted tasks, in holy toil. You'll be on your cloud, dispersed as a mist in the morning meadow of a waking forest in my mind. And the fourth poem, The Future of the Past. I like the smoke meandering and wish you could see it. Yet, silly to say, perhaps you are or were fire and smoke recently. I've always found it difficult to think in terms of what after death. I think there is nothing after death for the dead, but religion would have it otherwise. But the zealotry and the martyrdom repels me. We shared so much, even flesh, as I was born from you. Quote, I birthed you, unquote, you used to say. I wish you were here to remind me to be frugal and mindful as before, even though I have internalized your admonishing. I clean and I eat well. I confess that I spend more than I should, but I feel that is past now with the Christmas holiday and the need for a gift. So much like milky water, the incense snake spills down, cascading one level lower in the miasmal mist. I shall save money now. The Christmas cards and Subway gift cards for 20 lucky people are set to give out, and the future of the past cascades down. Poem number 5. More I Love You Mores. You've made it so easy, and after you've gone, easy to miss you, and the animated voice with my favorite photo of you that, like a lion statue in mid-roar, intends to yell. There was an incredible set of circumstances against us, only explained by a noble lineage left as a shadow in one past, and only someone like the Secret Service agent would protect us, but protect us from knowing ourselves, all that we are worth. Oh, the flame that makes us all inert, that sets up a heap of ashes blown elsewhere. We are never where we need to be when we have passed, but we are everywhere to those who sense that we are no more. Poets speak on occasions of great import to laud the honorable who are rightfully so. I would be always attentive to you in the universe of second chances, and there is no blame except that too often I thought we'd have more days, more laughter, more shows, more photos, more songs, more coupon meals, and more I love you mores. Poem number 6. I thought that you are alive. It may be a surprise for you to know this, that you are alive. Either that you never expired or that you have already found yourself reincarnated. You'd get a bit of a chuckle out of my GoFundMe campaign called The Search for Susie Reincarnated. And I get that tickle inside me for sharing a joke that I found or made up myself. I can still see you laugh a bit and turn toward your soap operas, whose storyline engrossed you so much. We are all captive audiences, aren't we? You've been captured by the void, the purgatory of hospice care that would let you linger, I had hoped, until you were well enough to be cared for here at home. You have become my favorite thought, a life defensible on first principles, to bring forth and nurture more life. An honor to honor such a memory that pleasantly enshrines itself in my thought that you are alive. Poem number 6. You are better. Well, it's the eve of Christmas, and I shed more tears today as I remembered some of your favorite songs, or what I imagine are your favorite, because you could hear a song once and it is with you always. I had learned from you what courage is and love. You came from so far away, and so truly did you understand our condition here, that I learned from you more about life and truth and noble things, that I was fond of thinking of you, and then trying to have something interesting to say to you that I could hear and think, that is true and right. We were in a sweet time of adjustment. I looked to the future of 10 more years of our growing old and tried to tell you that things would get better, and those words were true. But the mishaps, the bad luck, the missteps, the thunderclaps so near us kept coming, as if pursuing us, like a party with demands unjust, but a force to compel that planned peace out of this world and usher us into another harsh one. That you care one apart from me, and yours better. This is poem number 7. The Christmas Void. I filled in the void at Paul's Christmas dinner, a poor man's fare, and a dearth of women, even though a frontier family in a suburban wilderness. We all agreed that we'd rather have you stir us up. And his wife's mother had fallen ill in Ohio soon, too soon, after your passing, not to panic the tiny wife. Doubled up with tragic news, I could not find the words. I was going to think again about not going there. Just a few minutes left in this Christmas day, and I could not resist watching videos of you feeding birds, giving a lesson on compacting garbage, making meatloaf, and playing your guitar. My tears refuse to come. Serious thought about what the future holds for me. The house in this neighborhood and crazy-ass Donnie across the street with his derisive laughter cringes the prospects of a future here with such a clown, Donnie. And once your estate is settled, should I tell the story of how your last year somehow got unluckier than a snowman in hell? Does rationalizing accidental passing of such a loved one as you even make sense? Poem number 8, 8th poem, page 17. Gone, long gone. I must go on, and you must find a way to return. Our paths diverged just as we encountered wolves that seemed to feed on one desperation and illness, who in the modern sense of things kill with kindness. How you would put certain maxims at each fork in the road was a sign that said, ass, gas, grass, nothing is free. You'd like that one from the 80s and 90s, but hadn't gotten carefree enough in recent years to throw caution in the wind, to tell it like it is. My bragging about you in your later years did no harm. Nothing did any harm, because such a freak accident, like a woman fallen drunk asleep to drown in a bath, that happened to a celeb. But that event that did you in was nothing but an airway reflex. I always turn my head when I lie down on a pillow, and I assumed you would too. Quote, to assume makes an ass out of you and me, unquote. Anyway, our plans to see more concerts, take a cruise, write 150 more pages of your book, gone, long gone. Poem number 9. Already part of the air. I would fault myself for trying too hard to make you comfortable and minister you care, and add to that supporting you in your struggles when the others were unfair against your right. Yet I am only taking a respite today, a little while, and I am renewing the fight you fought against the all too tyrannical poverty of neglect. All who knew you and I are taking a moment to consider the absence of your voice and frail presence, and all the moments of wonder they surrender by the miracle patient you were, the trooper you were to undergo repair on breakage. There has been little change in the environs, and the cozy meals we shared, or the laundry we loved to fold in the warmth, a sort of kindness. But I am asking to stay on here at our house. I am asking not to be torn away from the spots of time that remind me of you. For out there, as a wanderer, I could scarcely sense your spirit that was already part of the air. And poem number 10. This is page 21. This is the last one for this video. And this is only part 1, the first video in a series of 10. No, a series of 15. 15 videos of these poems being read by me. The last one for today. Hear me out on this. I couldn't count the days since you've left. They creep by one, and fluid as the bath. It would be cliche to say, I wish you would nag at me, or some drivel, or some such drivel. All I wish is you didn't die. I got here to 56 and a half, with you just 20 years ahead, and I was looking forward to the evenings I could wheelchair you to the front of a concert every month or so. We had gotten a good routine going on, and it felt good. I think sometimes as I'm playing Gaspar Sands, why it is you didn't want me to work on that music, particularly that morning. Perhaps it sounds like beach sand or gas or something unattractive or inelegant. Maybe you just wanted me to play one of your favorites, maybe Cavatina or Strum, and sing in the early morning rain, which you named a favorite when we went to the Daiquiri Shack almost a year ago. Not to play and playing seems pretty much the same now, though. Not to seek out your opinion of a song seems remiss, for you were the national musician. Your fa sol la was so precious to my ears. I'll do these, I'll post these videos each day for 15 days while I search for a place to live. And so for 15 days, there are 150 poems in this book. The book again is The Sun and the Hereafter by David R Wellens, and it's available on Amazon. It's an Amazon book. I self-published it. I wrote a poem just about every day after I got news that Mom passed, trying to deal with grief. And as you can probably tell by my demeanor, that I'm still grieving and still struggling for survival here in Florida. Just none of it makes sense. And sometimes it makes too much sense because it almost seemed that it was meant to happen, which I just can't agree with. Everyone was so, people were so indifferent for so long. And afterwards, there's the pandemic that hit 500,000 lives in the United States alone. And it's just not, as I sometimes say, it's just not right for them to try to save your life, and then at the very end, end it because of insurance money or something after they've spent so much on ICU and everything to bring you back, and then Mercy or Kevorkian you to death or whatever they did. I'm just if it were some kind of intervention, and if Mom were really alive, and yet for some reason they didn't want me to know it, because I would be screaming to the top of the mountain how everything went, or whatever, that maybe Richie or my brother Richie or my brother Jim are trying to keep Mom and I apart because some nurse or something at Dr. Seifi's complained or something about how we went about our business. We kept getting provoked. That was the point. Everybody was provoking us, provoking Mom, and it was just everybody walked around with a thumbs down, even though we did more for the cause, the positive cause in Florida today than just about anyone else. But I tell you, I will, starting today, for the next 15 days, I will read 10 poems a day and post them after each day on YouTube. And as my testimony of how devastating my mother's passing was to me.